Work while you watch TV, work at the bar if you need to, use Keynote if you don't have actual design software so you can learn how to design. That is just a little bit of the advice that I am giving in today's video, which was captured in my first intro to typography class the other night. It's just me talking to the class about my expectations for them as students. And while it's really specifically geared towards people doing something who are either self-taught or want to learn how to do it, it's advice that I actually think holds true even for professionals, that if you do work, you'll make good work eventually. That it's more important to work with worst practices and actually make stuff than work with best practices but never get around to it. So that's what this video is. I hope you enjoy it, and if you got any questions or challenges, leave them. Thanks. Okay, expectations. So the first thing I will say is the general spirit of this class is what we just did, which is work a lot, work fearlessly, which is a really corny thing to say, but I'm like pretty sincere in the idea that like you shouldn't be sitting there timidly thinking about what to do. You should just, first off, if you're thinking about doing something, then just do it, because there are no consequences for that step, right? Like whatever it is you're gonna do is gonna take 10 seconds at most. So learn to just try stuff and fail and whatever, do bad stuff. Quantity over quality is, honest to goodness, my mantra, because you're only gonna make the work you're kind of capable of making at any given moment. So if you focus on quantity and at every moment you're trying your best, right? It's not like you're focusing on quantity, but then you're gonna dump a bunch of crap on my wall and be like, oh, well, you said quantity, so I just made 100 artboards, each with a different font, right? You're not gonna do that. But what I mean to say is like, don't get hung up on things being good. Get hung up on trying lots of stuff. And if you don't know if it's good, don't sweat it. Try it, leave it, make another artboard or make another page, and then try some more stuff, and then sleep on it and see if the next day what stuff was good. But you're gonna make what you're capable of making at any given moment, but the way that you get more capable is through trying lots of stuff and then reviewing it. Like it just, even if it's just reviewing it on your own, like you just look at these things and you're like, I don't know, this is kind of neat. You have to kind of divorce yourself from it for a minute. Like pretend, once you're done with something, pretend you're a different human being now looking at it. Like pretend you're your mom, because everyone's mom is supportive, right? Like no one ever hung up a poster and their mother like tore it to shreds and was like, this sucks, to like drop out, kill yourself. Like hopefully no one's mother is like that. You know, like, or like when you show work to your friends, you show something you've made, they don't tear it apart and critique it. They're like, oh, I like this thing, you know what I mean? Maybe they give a helpful suggestion. If they do anything more than that, you need new friends. So like make a bunch of stuff and then take a step back and just start to look for like, oh, that's kind of cool and that's kind of cool and that's a little bit interesting. And if anything, just work on amplifying the stuff that you think is good, and let the stuff that like you're unsure of, just let it sit. Like allow yourself the privilege that not everything has to work or be resolved. Like the way I think about it is, if I think of my favorite records, there's probably a song at the very least, if not like 4 songs, that I don't really like. But I don't go like, oh, I'm never listening to that record again because they made some aesthetic decisions that I don't like, you know what I mean? I just go like, oh, those are the songs that don't work for me. Allow yourself the freedom in the beginning to just let that be the case with creative work. Like, how crazy would you have to be to think that every time you made stuff, you figured it all out and it was all perfect? Like, that's not gonna happen. So instead, focus on the stuff that works. If you think something sucks, delete it, change it, whatever. And if you think something is unresolved, but you can't figure out how to resolve it, just leave it alone. Maybe someone else will look at it and be like, oh, if you thought about blah, blah, blah. I think you should bring headphones to class, which is funny because like my syllabus, I'm pretty sure says like we discourage headphones, but do whatever it takes for you to be able to be productive when you're here. So if that's the way you would normally work is with headphones on, headphones. If the way you would normally work is with Netflix in the background, Netflix in the background. Make it so that when you're sitting here, you're not in this mode that people sometimes get in, which is like, they know that it's great to have the opportunity to work on the thing with immediate feedback, but they can't get into the flow of working on someone else's strange computer in a strange room. So like, if you gotta have like a pile of snacks and stuff, and like headphones and a blanket, like I don't care. Like bring whatever stuff you need so that when you're here, it can be as productive as possible. Running along with that, if you're gonna maintain the idea that it's quantity over quality and it should be fun, do whatever you can to kind of excuse-proof working on this stuff outside of class. Because there's two problems. One, it is summer. So what I know is that there are 8 people here now. In 5 weeks, I'm gonna be down to a dedicated crew of 5 or 6 of you. And by the last class, I'm gonna be so excited if 3 of you show up. Because what is gonna happen is it's gonna be really nice out, and you're like, well, it's Thursday, I need happy hour. Well, maybe I'll just be late, and you will not show up, because that is what happens in the summer. So, what I am saying is like, if you would do that to class, then you're certainly not gonna do homework. Do whatever you can to create a situation where doing the homework is fun. So what I would advocate for is like, one, have the mental idea that what you're doing is playing. Like you're playing with type towards a certain end. And then the other thing is like, if you're working on a laptop, I'm a huge advocate of watching TV while you're working. I figure that the best case scenario, if you do that, is you lose yourself in whatever you're doing, you look up and you're like, oh, I guess I missed the last 3 episodes of The Walking Dead, like as I was binge watching them, because I was so engrossed in what I was doing. And the worst case scenario is, hey, at least you got to watch The Walking Dead, even if the work turned out like crap. Now, if you're a focused, dedicated person who like will have the diligence to sit down on a beautiful day and put in 2 hours of work, then disregard that. But if you are a procrastinator, make it so that doing the work is fun. Don't get it stuck in your idea that like, that there's some like sacred thing about like, no, I need to hunker down and block all distractions and blah, 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 blah. Like, if you're naturally like that, do that. But if you're thinking you should be like that, but then you're not like that, don't do that. If the way for you to work is in a bar, like bring your laptop to the bar and like get down. But just make it so it's fun. Because it should be. And the only reason you're gonna procrastinate is if you create a situation where it's not fun. And I just operate from like, I'm really lazy, I procrastinate easily, I'm super distractible. So for me to do stuff, I have to be like, no, I'm only doing that if I can binge watch whatever show I'm into at the moment. And that's what it takes for me to work. Whereas like I have a wife who's like, focus. She can be like, no, we're not watching anything tonight because I need the computer to work. And I'm like, damn it. But both of us get how we work. So like, I can't do what she does. Like I refuse to deprive myself of The Walking Dead. And along with that, like if your laptop doesn't have like Adobe products, seriously, do it in Keynote. You can export PDFs from Keynote and we can work with that. Working is more important than like whatever software you're using. And the last thing that I think I'll say is not worrying about being good or doing good work. The reason that you do that is doing the work makes you good. If you want to get good at typography, you could actually not show up to this class ever again. Just do the same exercise that we did today for 10 minutes a day for a month, and there's going to be a dramatic difference from today to whatever would be a month from now, July 6th or something like that. Just diligent action is gonna make the work better, and that's why you don't worry about the work being good. It becomes good as a side effect of just working and having fun. I think that that's so important, and it's like, it's a thing that adults forget and kids know intuitively. Kids pick up art supplies, they pick up toys, they pick up basketballs, whatever, they pick up books, and they never go, I better find someone to teach me how to do this. And then as adults, we get all fancy and we're like, we gotta learn how to do it and whatnot, which just sucks the fun out of it. And at that point, like, why would you do that when you already have a job and you already have other stuff to do? Why would you give yourself more work to do? So my model is like, give yourself more play to do. We're not gonna focus like on the rules at all. The like quote unquote rules of typography. If tomorrow you get a job designing brochures for the government, then please like, go to the library, get some book that is like how to do typography, and then use that because you're subjecting the general public to the output of your skill set. But otherwise, don't worry about the rules. They're basically a bunch of suggestions, potentially a kind of pyramid scheme to get people to go to school, to convince them like, well, you gotta learn the rules. Like, you don't have to learn the rules to break them. Try lots of stuff. Those of you who naturally are interested in type, you're gonna end up learning the rules, you're gonna end up learning history because you're the kind of person that does that. Others of you are gonna purely be interested, like you might be more interested in illustration, and the way that you use type is more akin to a children's storybook. You don't need to know the rules of type to typeset whatever, a Fancy Nancy book or whatever. So don't worry about the rules. Don't get caught up in the rules. Working is always the thing. That I think is really like the most important thing. Like, make this fun and you will do a ton of it and you will get so good so fast.